Welcome back to the GameLink podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Lebbi. We're actually joined today remotely by Elmer. He had some vehicle issues, but we have a guest, TheCoolCat3020, or just CoolCat. We've been trying to plan this for quite a while, so it's great to have him here.
I looked back at the Discord channel, or the Discord chats, and it was like back in February.
Yeah.
So, the fact that we are here now is great, and it's great to be here.
Yeah, good to have you, man. So, before we get started too much, we are doing today's episode on Tekken, the Tekken movie from 2010. If you couldn't tell by the poster artwork there. But before we get into that, I'm sure a lot of people that are going to be watching this on Twitch know who you are, CoolCat. But why don't you plug yourself a little bit?
Sure, yeah, I can give you a pluggable. My name is TheCoolCat3020. I'm a variety charity streamer on Twitch. Usually on the late nights on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And Saturdays, we do chaotic stuff. We actually just did the night before. That's why I was a little late today. I did a 12-hour charity stream for the National Breast Cancer Foundation for breast cancer awareness month.
You're nuts, dude.
I do what I can. So yeah, doing that and just doing all things charity. So. That's me.
Oh, cool.
I realize my glasses are like reflecting a lot. So what if?
Oh, that'll happen.
Let's do this.
Yeah, you can just be blind. No one
I can
cares.
just be blind. I don't need to read the chat.
Yeah, no one cares if you see.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. So it's twitch.tv/
TheCoolCat3020.
TheCoolCat3020.
Why 3020? Because there's too many different names. 3000 was taken. 3005 was taken by Childish Gambino. So that's why 3020.
Gotcha.
I just got that joke. God damn it, dude.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so before we get into like the game and all that stuff, let's start with Elmer here. What have you been up to the last week?
Past 12 hours, I've now been looking and trying to do some diagnostic work on my catalytic converter. But for the past week, just pretty much wrapping things up and getting ready for the end of spooky season here. Got the house all set up. We were just carving pumpkins less than an hour ago.
Sick.
And I actually, I can actually plug something. Friends of mine over on the Gorekeeper / the... I can't remember their other name of the podcast. I'll have to look that up in a minute. But Brandon invited me on for their Let's Play a Game horror game show podcast. So I got to compete in multi-rounds of horror trivia last night.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
So for everyone who doesn't know, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. And actually, we should have talked about this last week too, because we had Thor on. But Elmer and I have gone to a number of horror movie trivia nights where I think we did one in Milwaukee and one in Chicago, and our team always wins because of Elmer. The first time we did it, I didn't know any of the answers, and the second time we did it, I only knew, I think, one of the answers. So, and this dude, yeah, carried us to victory both times. And that's actually how we met Thor, who was our guest last week.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, dude, that sounds like fun. So, of course you won, right, Elmer?
Well, let's put it this way. The second place winner had a whopping 36 points. The first place, myself, I had 70. So that'll tell you what the point spread on that.
I thought it was going to be like a closer, like he had 36 and I had 37 points. But holy crap, you almost doubled.
I like how you completely skip over the infamous night back in 2018 where we met up over at the Dugout in East Bethel for Friday the 13th bar trivia. That was a good one.
I forgot about that. That actually popped up in my memories the other day.
Just to set the scene, imagine I show up about 45 minutes early compared to our Lebbi and our other friend who tagged along for that. I showed up 45 minutes early because I worked not too far away from there. in full Jason Voorhees outfit and went up, got a table, sat there, and just waited. And I didn't talk to anybody, just ordered a beer, drank it through a straw just to screw with people. Lebbi and our other friend come in. Our other friend is dressed like a Crystal Lake counselor. He's got flannel on, he's got bootcut jeans on, pair of hiking boots. Looks fantastic. Oh, Lebbi, do you want to describe it or should I?
So, okay, I'll start by saying Elmer told me to dress up because everyone was going to be in costume. Okay. So I show up with a Camp Crystal Lake t-shirt tied up in a knot and little Daisy Duke booty shorts and, makeup done, the works. It's cold out. There's like snow on the ground. I walk into this bar in the middle of nowhere and nobody's in costume. Everyone looks at me. I think I got catcalled a few times. It was it was really awkward, but it was fun.
For anybody that wants, I'll send the video or I'll send the picture in the chat if anybody really wants to see that one.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's awesome. Did you watch anything good this week?
Hilariously, we've been rewatching the classic Nickelodeon show Ah Real Monsters for the most part this week, just because our schedules are so opposite, Archangel and I. And no, we've been having a lot of fun going back and rewatching that show. Just the pedigree of Viacom 1990s with the people behind the Wild Thorn Bears and Rugrats going, how can we make the most disgusting kid show possible that doesn't deal with Pee Wee Herman and Captain Kangaroo? And it works.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that show. But let's see, what have
I been doing?
Yeah, what have you been up to, Cool Cat?
Since the last podcast, everything. But no, joking aside, I guess like I said, I mentioned I did the 12-hour charity stream yesterday. This week, streaming and working. Anything Halloween related. Painted pumpkins for the charity events.
That's cool. I haven't done anything Halloween.
Yeah. Really. So Sans did a lot of decorating the house. We carved a pumpkin last week, which turned out really well. Did a little cat face, which was awesome.
Of course.
And other than that, been dog sitting. Her parents have gone out of town. And we have a puppy in the house for till tonight, actually. So it's been quite a mess.
I bet.
But I'm trying to think of scary movies I've watched or anything other media so far. On Netflix, we watched like a few episodes of like Skinwalker Ranch. Oh boy, that is a show to really make you question what happens when you have too much money, and I have no time to use it on. But that's interesting, and I think I forgot. I mean, I think the only thing scary related was that I've watched recently was it last year's Candyman or the more recent Candyman?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It was pretty good.
That's a good one.
But we watched that during like Friday the 13th, so that was months ago. But yeah, streaming, charity working, planning for the next one. So
yeah, you're a pretty busy guy.
Yeah, so how we did this, it was like, hey, we should do this in February.
We've been planning this for 8 months.
6 months later.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. But what have you been up to?
Okay. So I've had a pretty busy week. But first of all, I want to talk about the hot gaming news. I came across this indie game called Motor Doom. It's a Tony Hawk Pro Skater style like stunt game where you're riding a dirt bike. It has PlayStation 1 graphics.
Oh.
But it's also a roguelike shooter.
Oh. Do tell.
So you like ride around doing tricks and just shooting enemies that are spawning everywhere.
Okay.
And it's still in development, but you can wishlist it on Steam. So that's my shameless plug for today, because that game looks interesting as hell.
So the only thing I can think of that's more relevant, to that, is Roller Dome that came out on PlayStation 5.
Ooh.
It's very much like an inline skater, but it is like you do shoot people while you're skating. So to have something that's a PS1 graphic that's on a dirt bike, that does appeal to me a lot better because the controls in that game were terrible. But that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So if you didn't catch it, that's Motor Doom. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. Also, I don't know if anyone heard, but Henry Cavill is actually stepping down as The Witcher.
I did see that. Was there any reason to that at all, or was that just like
I'm not sure.
Scheduling, really?
Yeah, because with I forget the Saffron or Sauron and James Gunn, with them taking over the DC studios for Warner Brothers, they basically they have them pitted for like a multi-contract deal right now. So I think it's basically like an exclusivity kind of thing they have. So
Got it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Either way, Liam Hemsworth is gonna take over. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I've still only seen the first season of that show. So
is Liam Hemsworth, is he mini Thor or is he like the sentient Thor action figure? I can never remember those brothers to save my life. Apparently there's a sister too running around.
Yeah, he's pretty jacked.
He's cute.
He's a babe. But yeah, so that's
No, what'd you do? Put him back on the screen.
But yeah, so I picked up. I actually never owned a copy of The Witcher 3, so I picked that up. I think it was on Steam for like $7 or something.
That's a really buy.
I also picked up Doom 2016 for $5.
Oh hell yeah!
And I've been playing that on my Steam Deck, and it runs great on the Steam Deck.
Nice.
A friend and I also started playing Until Dawn, because I've never actually played that one, and that was kind of interesting. If you haven't heard of it, it's like a teen drama, like horror flick, like monster flick type thing, but as a choose your own adventure game. So they actually get like real actors and stuff and like 3D model them in the game. It's really weird, but it works out. So I had fun with that. Played a couple chapters. So I might actually have to finish that.
It's pretty good. That and the Quarry.
Oh yeah.
That's very in relation to that. Something more recent. That is.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Very good stuff. And really good stories from of Until Dawn and the Quarry. The other one's mixed, but it all depends if you like that sort of flavor.
Yeah, and then I have watched a bunch of Halloween-y movies. So I watched Ernest Scared Stupid, because you gotta.
Sure.
Have you ever heard of Terrifier?
I have.
So I watched the first one, and as cheesy as it was, it is kind of growing on me. I did kind of like that one. I rewatched Zombieland, which I haven't seen in a long time, which that movie is always great. And then I watched Rob Zombie's Monsters.
Ooh.
And that wasn't a good movie, but when I look at it in the lens of like a performance, like as like thought of it as more of like an on stage play, like you can definitely tell everything is a costume and whatever. So that it kind of gave it a little bit more charm when I thought of it that way, but it wasn't great. But yeah, and then I also watched Army of Darkness, because that movie cannot lose. It's so good.
And this is my boomstick.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to. So I suppose we can get into Tekken. And I'm sure Cool Cat will have a lot more input on the game than I will, because honestly, I can't consider myself a Tekken fan. I don't know if I've played any of the games.
Well, I mean, the Tekken series is great. It started originally on the PlayStation 1.
In 94.
94.
Yep, 94.
Oh.
And, very old series. And they actually just announced Tekken 8 to be next year, I believe. So and usually their Tekken games are not very much like they're not as sequelitist as like Call of Duty is, where it's one every year.
Yeah, it'll be like 5-6 years in between. Yeah.
Usually that. Usually when another generation of video games comes out or systems comes out, another fighting series game comes out.
Like one per generation.
Pretty much in a way. But no, it's been around for quite some time. A lot of lore. That's why I really hated watching Tekken.
Yeah, well, we can get into that.
Into it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit later. So,
Got it.
so first, I did look up some stuff on the development of Tekken, but there isn't really a whole lot out there, except for it's a 3D fighting game made by Bandai Namco.
Yep.
It's arguably one of the most influential fighting games, and it's considered to have set the standard for many 3D fighting games going forward. It's obviously successful. Like we got, I think Tekken 7 was 2015.
Yeah.
And then 8 just got announced. But one thing that the team did to really set themselves apart is they introduced individual limb control.
Yeah.
So it actually, the game started off as a what was it, like a 3D modeling like software like tester.
Yeah, very much a 3D modeling software tester that allows it so that literally your button input is like I'm on PlayStation controller. So your left arm is your square, your right arm is your triangle, your left kick is X, and your right kick is circle.
Yeah.
And which it's very much on a surface on a standard surface level, it's like I have to it's just a fighting game, it's nothing that intricate, but when you start playing it and start interacting with it, it is a lot more
nuanced.
It's a lot more more than what it's leading on to.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's cool because it started off as like a testing software for 3D modeling, and then they added texture mapping, and then they kind of went like, oh, like this is actually kind of fun just to play with. So they put the director for Virtua Fighter, they put him on the game, and then so it was kind of like it was meant to be pretty much Virtua Fighter, but it had more detailed textures and it like doubled the frame rate. And it kind of changed the way that devs thought about fighting games because of like the individual limb control stuff. But I mean, sadly, with everything it had going for it, with like the experienced like Virtua Fighter team, it suffered from something called inter-developer battle, which was what would happen is developers would be experienced in so much other stuff that they had these huge egos. And they would just kind of like rework or delete other developers' stuff to do it how they wanted, and it just was constantly like one step forward, two steps back type of thing. And it's just like, God, I can only imagine how frustrating it was. Apparently, Namco lost a lot of staff because of this. Like a lot of people ended up getting frustrated and walking away from the project.
Very much a King of the Hill experience.
Yeah, like people just completely left the company because of this game, and it actually started looking pretty grim for Namco as a studio. They were like, "Oh, we're kind of losing everyone," but I don't know. I couldn't find any information about how this was overcome, but they pulled it off. They released the game, and obviously it was a good decision. I think you were talking about like when a character was introduced in like game 5, and I think what was it? I heard that Tekken 4 was just awful.
Tekken 4 was there, as I think if I remember the lineage. So Tekken 1 PS1, Tekken 2 and 3 also were PS1. Tekken 4 was the first one for PS2, which I will give it some slack given that it's coming into a new system. 5 was also on PS2, and then 6 PS3, and so on and so forth. 7 being on PS4. But 4 was kind of a more clunky experience because it was more of a different graphical rendering in that regard. I was mentioning 5 because of the people from the movie in the game sense. It didn't make quite sense, but I'll get to that again later. I'm not that upset, by the way. I just want to talk. So
Not upset, you're just disappointed.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed.
So which Tekken is your favorite? Is it just an obvious 7?
So I mean, 7 is popular to me, but I guess, gosh, that's a really tough question, a really tough one, because of course you have 1 through 7, but you also have Tekken Tag 2, and in some wiggle room, you could say Street Fighter Cross Tekken. As most of your games are, yeah.
I think I own that one. I've just never played it.
It's okay. You don't need to.
You're like, don't.
Don't. Here's a thought. Just don't. 7 is very unique in that it does what everything else has done, but a little better for the matchmaking, for just the roster. Like when I played 6, because I platinumed both 6 and 7. When I played 6, there was like it didn't feel as complete, I guess, with the roster. But now with 7, like, even if they weren't there initially, they were introduced, and then more people were introduced, and they expanded the lore a lot more. Like, I mentioned Street Fighter Cross Tekken earlier. They actually have in Tekken 7, they have Akuma, one of the antagonists in Street Fighter. He is in the game and also a part of the lore. I don't know if they did that as like actual canon, but they did what they can to make me believe it was. So stuff like that, just the expanded lore, the community for it is great. So yeah, I would say right now 7 is my favorite, and maybe 8 when it comes out, but that's just me.
You know, I'm excited for 8, not because I'm gonna play it, because I am shit at fighting games, but Donkey's gonna make a good video about it.
Donkey will make a good video, yes.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, Elmer, did you find anything about the production of this?
Well, let's put it this way. With the production of this film,
Oh boy.
I don't know what it was, because let's put it this way. Around the same time that this film came out, we had 2 other similarly failed fighting game films that came out at around the exact same time. You know, this isn't like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat kind of battling it out in the 1990s, which is exactly when this movie feels like it should have been made. But no, this came out around the same time that the live-action adaptations of Dead or Alive, which we need to cover. We need to cover that one for Valentine's Day if you catch my
Yeah, let's do it.
DOA, and then the Legend of Chun-Li Street Fighter movie came out around the same time as this one, and all 3 of them famously bombed at the box office.
Yeah.
Here's
I
the
forgot
one.
about that.
Oops, sorry about that. I just remember. I just remember walking through the movie theater lobby at East Bethel, and there being a poster for The Legend of Chun-Li right there. And I remember TheCoolCat. I remember you turning and looking at me and going, "We got to check that one out when it gets here." And it's like, don't put that on the back burner.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy crap.
Only TheCoolCat would be excited about that.
Honestly, it was the thighs.
Oh, always the thighs.
Always the thighs that get me in, but good thing I never went.
That's fair.
But, yeah, so here's kind of an interesting thing about this movie, which is why I jokingly have been kind of being coy about it for these 2, but this actually fits right into somewhat of the spooky season in terms of, well, pretty much the people who worked on it.
Oh.
The 2 people the person who wrote and directed this, as well as the main writer for it, was from a gentleman by the guy who wrote his name is Alan B. McElroy, and then the other one's name, thank you, is Dwight H. Little, who is the actual gentleman who directed it. Now, both of these gentlemen wrote, as well as wrote and directed, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Oh, no.
Huh.
actually has about as good a fight scenes in it as this does.
Doesn't this movie have a connection to Ghost Rider? Or is that the movie? Is that the Nick Cage movie?
Yeah, Ghost Rider was Nicolas Cage was Ghost Rider.
Yeah. I thought I read that this movie was like directed by the same guy or something.
Well, when I looked at Little's filmography, unfortunately, no, I don't see Ghost Rider in there. What I do see is, which will really make you two laugh, is we've got Anacondas, The Hunt for the Blood Orchid. You know, the cheap sequel that was made that did not either have Ice Cube or J-Lo in it, you know, the biggest draws in the first one.
Yeah.
Sure as hell not John Voight's accent in that movie. They then also directed Free Willy 2, The Adventure Home, Rapid Fire, which is actually kind of a really crazy and kind of fun Brandon Lee movie. It was actually one of his last ones just prior to his death. The Phantom of the Opera, or Menachem Golan, famously of Canon, right after Canon split, starring Robert Englund as the Phantom, and that movie's actually insane. So if anybody wants something to throw on before spooky season ends, there you go right there. But the funniest thing that I found out about this guy that kind of made my head implode a little bit, he was the AMV director for the video game Ground Zero Texas, which is about an alien invasion. It's FMV, so it's full motion video.
Oh boy!
So it's gonna be like Night Trap, or probably worse than that. What was the Christopher Walken one? It was like a noir game. But
gosh,
it's that. But you're investigating where aliens have infected like some Texas town, so you got to figure out who's an alien and who's not. And I was, after watching some of the screenshots from it, I'm like, oh, this might be an episode.
Ripper.
This might be an episode. Ripper, thank you.
Yep.
And my apologies. How could I forget the coup de grace, the biggest, most glorious thing in this guy's filmography, besides Tekken, of course.
Besides Tekken,
is the Steven Seagal movie Marked for Death, aka, and I can't believe this is a real movie, Steven Seagal, who of course is a super soldier practically. Special
He's either a cop or a soldier.
Yeah.
Moves back to his hometown. That's this suburban town in like the middle of nowhere. Like let's put it this way: it was so nondescript. I can't remember if it was in the Pacific Northwest or in the Midwest. That's how nondescript it is. Moves back, and it's basically Walking Tall, where crime is running rampant in the streets, and he has to help to take it back. Here's the kicker: all of the criminals are Jamaican drug lords.
Oh God. I think you've shown, or at least told me about this.
It's awful.
Oh boy, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Tekken is starting to make a lot more sense now that I say all this stuff out loud. But other than that, they had nothing but production issues with trying to actually get the movie made, just because of some other video game movies around that time bombing so hard, like pretty much all of Uwe Boll's career. The second Tomb Raider film. After that, they basically tried to put a lot of these movies on the back burner. It wasn't really until the release of Doom and just how much money that film did end up making, even though it was critically panned and hated, that they thought, maybe we can try to fast track that. This film still sat on the shelf for 2 years, believe it or not. And it has, I'm not kidding when I say this, a $1.7 million box office gross worldwide.
Okay, well, I mean, it makes sense that it sat on the shelf for a couple of years because, even though it came out in 2010, the whole time I was like, this seems like a late 90s, early 2000s movie. Like, it really does.
If it wasn't for the One Sick Puppy song that I know for a fact came out in like 07, 08, I would have been like, Because half the songs in this sound like it's either Crystal Method or like The Prodigy. Like any second, I expected "Smack My Bitch Up" to start playing at some point. Yeah, no. Like we were making the same jokes. Even the three of us were just over text while we were watching it, and we're just coming up with the same stuff. Going, my God, this feels like a '90s movie. You know, my God, you know, when we realized who the spoiler alert, or not spoiler if you've played the video games, the big bad of the movie, when we realized, oh shit, that's Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
Coming up with the same stuff at the same time, pretty much. So.
Yeah, I think the funny thing was, I think it was Elmer that said it like right away, is like, all the actors in this movie look just like famous people, you know, like actual famous people.
It's like walking down like Hollywood Boulevard or Ventura, is it Hollywood or whatever. It's like walking for the Grauman Chinese Theater and getting pictures taken and sending it back to your kids, going, "Look, I had a picture with Oliver Hardy," or "Oh, look, I
with
got
Spider-Man and Michael Jackson." Yeah.
The motion picture.
Yeah, no, it was. I think that was the best part of this movie, was like making fun of it with you guys.
It was very much a riff track experience.
Yeah, because like right away, there's hardly any like character development or setup. Like, it's there, don't get me wrong, but it's like within 20 minutes, it's like the main part of the movie now, and it just kind of drags that out for an hour.
Yeah, and just you mentioned like it felt like a '90s movie. I straight up, like, the music selection of the start of that movie, with what was going on with like the effects at the time, really did feel like an AMV that I had like remembered and watched. I'm like, oh, I think I remember this. Is this where the anime like Sephiroth comes out and does whatever? Cool?
Yeah, what was that song?
I don't remember what the song is, but
like, yeah, the first opening scene in the movie, they're playing this song, and it's like the song is to like a montage of him like beating people up and fighting his way through like the slums, but it's like this butt rock, like full, like with lyrics song, and it feels like
puppies.
Puppies.
Yeah. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, what? I sent you guys a message just going, I haven't heard this song in a long time.
It's like, is this supposed to be like, is this supposed to be like an AMV of like Final Fantasy cutscenes?
Right.
You know, like, it really had that 2005 AMV feel.
AMV, it feels like a fan edit that somebody put on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, so what even is the plot of this movie? Because I'm going to be honest, I cannot tell you anyone's name except for Jin, the main character.
Okay, so from what I gathered from the plot of the movie, Jin is... okay, this is where I get so fed up. So, the movie is named Tekken, as we see here. Or, sorry, fingers, over here. The movie is named Tekken. And the whole scene, the whole world is taking place in the city of Tekken, which never have I ever thought that was the case. But many different corporations are taking over, and this sector is being taken over by the Tekken and the Mishima Sabatsu group. I guess in the process, Jin loses his mom because Jin was being hunted down for finding things, I guess, or just stealing stuff from them.
Yeah, I think he like smuggled a 20,000 gig storage device. Which why don't you just say 20 terabytes? Like, it's not that much. I suppose this was 2000.
This was 2010,
yeah,
so
2010.
like nobody was like I didn't come out of high school knowing what a terabyte was. So
I suppose.
I was having flashbacks to Johnny Mnemonic, though, the entire time he was talking about, like,
this
data, man. I'm like, oh, God, is he going to take some of his brain matter out so that way he could really get it across the board?
I love Johnny Mnemonic.
Mm-hmm.
We should find an excuse to watch that for this podcast.
Cyberpunk 2077.
I suppose we could.
that'd be something.
But yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, that was totally fine. Let's see. Nutshell.
Before we get too much further, I just have to ask. So the actual quote-unquote Tekken company, which you said is not an actual company in the game, correct?
No.
It's Tekken City is where they live, and also it's like a Tekken like group of fighters, right? It's called Tekken.
Yeah, so the city was called Tekken. It was owned by the Mishima Sabatsu group, which they hold, and they're the biggest corporation because of course you're watching the movie. Of course you're not going to watch the smaller one, right?
They're Amazon.
They're Amazon, but they are hosting the Iron Fist tournament, which hosts like fighters from all of these other groups around the country and world, I guess. So our protagonist Jin gets found out about smuggling stuff across the borders of different groups. That's kind of the start of it, and hence the AMV portion of our movie. He delivers the 20 terabyte, 20,000, whatever the hell. Delivers the goods. He goes home, has an argument with his mom about how you can't be doing this and you can't be doing that. And he said, F this, I'm leaving. Goes, runs away, and has a almost sex scene, which is a romance that is completely forgotten.
Yeah.
Like midway through, and they reference it in camera pan. During that process,
I messaged you guys going, don't you just hate it when you get cock blocked by black helicopters?
God, just ridiculous.
Yeah, so helicopters show up, and instead of just like capturing him or something, they just fucking blow his house the fuck up.
Yeah, for no reason. They literally take the moment to be like, look, he's right there. Blow his house up. Not in those exact words, but that was the action in partake. So he does that, and then just the whole like, oh my god, my mother's dead. What do? I'm gonna fight the corporation. Goes through the protagonist's like upbringing of fighting his way through, and
he mentions every chance he can get. He mentions that his mother's dead.
Yes, like I died. I almost died laughing. No pun intended. The idea of he meets up with Steve Fox, which to those who know Tekken, Steve Fox is the British UK boxer who was introduced in Tekken 5, not the promoter that we see in the movie. He talks to him and after his initial fight and goes, yeah, what are you fighting for? Was like, oh, my mom. Oh, yeah, cool. She's dead. And just, no one asked.
Yeah.
No one asked that
No,
question.
I think he goes, who taught you how to fight? And he goes,
that was it.
My mom, she's dead.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was not Jason Statham then, which watching that, I'm just like, dear God, how many times do you think they tried calling him to try to get him to show, at least try to show up?
I feel like they, like we said earlier, they tried to call so many people.
They just couldn't afford it.
They just couldn't afford it, and they're like, you know what?
We'll go to Wish.
Yeah. We'll just throw a Craigslist ad real quick and figure this out.
That's the big reason why I was asking about the companies. So imagine it this way.
Yeah.
It was Muramatsu, Mirashimu, what was it?
Mishima.
Mishima, okay.
Yes.
So if Mishima is here and Tesla is here, whereabouts is Amazon?
Amazon is about... Mishima is... Or, let's see, Amazon would definitely be above everything else, you know? It is very much... God, that is a great question. Where would you land Amazon to the Mishima Sabatsu, who owns, like, a continent?
Yeah, I think they actually own...
Amazon would be above that by that means, because Amazon is global.
Yeah, but Amazon doesn't, like, own... You know, I don't think they own a whole lot of, like, residential space.
They don't. I mean, they didn't really own that one. I mean, I guess they did, because they blew up whatever they felt like, regardless if their target was in there or not.
What are you talking about? They do actually have Amazon apartments, though.
Yeah, but it's not like a whole country's worth. I mean, and it seems like this company has their own, like, you know, military and police force and all that stuff, which, you know, Amazon doesn't have yet.
Yeah, yet.
How long until Bezos jumps in the middle of a UFC match and goes, I must fight for my honor of my company, holding, you know, the ball ninja axe above its head?
I will say that will happen, and then people will do same-day delivery ass whoopings.
Well, and apparently he does take HGH, so he might be ripped enough one day.
There you go. Let's see. What else?
And I just realized we are saying this shit on Twitch. We could lose stream at any minute by going after Bezos this hard. So sorry, our humble overlord.
Whatever.
He's fine. He's fine. We're under the radar.
He's heard worse. Yeah, we have 3 people watching. I don't think we have much risk.
And I'm one of those people.
Yay!
Yeah, but let's see. So yeah, after that short little, I mean, it sounds like we've glazed over a lot. We really haven't. I mean, it's a short bit of character building, and then it's like right away he's like just beating Tekken fighters left and right, and in like the world like championship fights ring. Whatever.
Yeah, usually it's the protagonist fight of like, I'm gonna do it, and then he's almost not doing it, and then he does it.
Yeah, there's like some suspense or struggle. No, this guy wins. That's all he does.
Well, no, not even that. Like, he does have the moment of, oh man, I need to channel the power of flashback.
Yeah.
Through the power of flashback that my mother has taught me many years ago, I can now.
Yeah, he has the same flashback probably about 5 times.
Yes.
As I message you guys, I'm like, how dumb do these people actually think we are that we can't remember the entirety of the movie we've just been watching?
Yeah.
I feel like they probably meant, I don't know if it was in the case of this, but it's built like they were like, you know what? We have a really cool series called Tekken that we'd like to promote and have. And this person really has a lot of flashbacks. This is going to be a lot of stuff. Guy, you only got like an hour and a half. You got to figure it out.
So, oh my gosh, I just noticed. It's part of the poster that mentions Ghost Rider. According to the poster right there, it says from the producer of Ghost Rider.
They were proud of that?
I guess.
The only thing Ghost Rider related I can say that tied into the Sergey and Brian Fury fight, where Brian Fury uses the chain.
Oh yeah.
Like that is the closest thing to Ghost Rider I could think that was being used, was an actual iron chain whip.
I mean, that is one cool thing about this movie is like the fight scenes. I mean, they weren't great, but they were entertaining enough, I guess.
They were not the movesets that the characters use. But it was entertaining to watch.
What you're saying is this is the equivalency of Liu Kang just suddenly going Hadouken while you're standing there playing Mortal Kombat?
It was so if I broke it down fight by fight, so a lot of the actually the initial fight that I watched of Jin versus martial law, which they didn't really explain martial law that well, because martial law got into a lot of different stuff, mostly restauranteering. And fighting for money in the video game lore anyway, so he can have money for his own restaurants and paying his debts. Why he's part of that, I don't know. But watching a lot of Jin fight was of like doing a lot of actually a lot of the fights actually now I'm thinking about it, where a fighter would go up a wall and turn and punch.
Oh yeah, where they like jump off the corner and land with a downward punch.
Yeah, like they really oversold that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not really part of Tekken. Like, no one's running up walls. There's like one character, maybe 1 or 2 characters in the game roster currently that interacts with walls like that, and they weren't even in the movie. So
this seems like one of those things where the movie tried to take itself seriously as a video game adaptation, but they did it in the wrong way, where instead of doing like the fight styles and like move set of the characters, they did more of trying to make the characters look believable, and then have like be serious about this bullshit story, when in reality what's the big bad guy?
Well, I guess take your pick on who it is at any part of the movie.
Well, the guy that also played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat.
Heihachi.
Yeah, he looked ridiculous.
Yes. Absolutely terrible.
It looked like a caricature of the video game 3D model. It was so bad. Like, man, if they would have put more effort into, other aspects of making it like the game, like we can have things that look a little different as long as, the lore is still correct.
Yeah, the
If they
lore
would have
was.
painted him green, he would have looked like a live-action Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, yeah, but but the one thing. Okay, so if any of the roster from what we saw of the movie was accurate to the fighting style and to the character, it was Eddie Gordo, because he was actually Capoeira fighting, which was really cool, and that takes a lot of like strength and core to do that shit. Now, probably the editing helped a lot of like making that true, but it really, that was the only fighting style and stuff that I saw that was accurate to the game that also the movie applied from.
And we so there was one character that looked like a Dennis Rodman type.
Raven.
But Cool Cat brought up, like, I don't think we saw an actual fight scene with him. Did we?
Yeah. Did you remember? Like, I'm Barry or Elmer. Did you see an actual fight scene with Raven? Now that you like thinking back on it,
Was he not the one who fought Eddie Gordo?
he did. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why. I was like sitting there like, I don't get, like, how was he beat up? Like, who, like, that fight was so like,
Who did this to you?
Who did this to you? But yeah.
And
Gosh, no.
the first person to fight Jin, you said that his name was Martial Law or something like that?
Yes. Yeah, the
Okay,
first person he
I
fought
just
was
realized this when he said that he was like a restaurateur and stuff like that. Oh my
Yes.
God. It's like if Gordon Ramsay joined the UFC.
Yeah. Well, it'd be like if Bruce Lee joined, started a restaurant.
Yeah, Iron Chef.
Yes. Iron Chef Bruce Lee had joined the restaurant business.
Yeah, we have that. His name is Mark Dacascos. He's played the Iron Chef on Iron Chef for 20 years now. Speaking of Mark Dacascos, that was another thing I brought up earlier. I went, dear God, this movie just feels like a remake of the Double Dragon movie from 1994.
And not in a good way.
Not in a good
In
way.
a good way. It's the exact same plot for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean,
Honestly, Octagon, but-
of course, it's a video game movie, so the main protagonist ends up beating the absolute ever-loving shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
And winning the tournament. And then what's even like the big like
What was the reason?
like the big like conclusion to the movie? Because I was cooking chicken at this point.
Oh, so you enjoyed the best part of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. The best part of the movie was not watching the movie. So what happens is after our protagonist Jin goes through and fights everybody and develops almost a love interest with one of the other fighters.
The worst actress of the movie.
The worst actress of the movie, but also there's a couple pans that like when they're back at like the bar or the anvil, I think that's what they call that sector of that. They're like, that chick is still there rooting around like, yeah, I know him. And just like, and then they don't, that's it.
And that girl who like wore like had weird pants, it was basically like a V-neck for her butt crack.
Yeah.
It looked so uncomfortable.
That was like, and the worst part is like she wore that and I was like, okay, that's a choice.
And then she had multiple pairs of pants.
She had multiple pairs of them, and it's like, oh, that's a lifestyle choice. So after our protagonist goes through and fights, there's a bit of a switch where Hayachi is not to appear to be much of the bad guy as we are to believe. He's still an asshole. But Kazuya tries to take over the corporation through a hostile takeover.
Because Jin is actually his son.
Yes, Jin is his son. Surprise.
Yeah.
Which it's the actual Tekken lore is much better than this.
Yeah.
But find out that they're related. Hachi gets killed or not, depending on the last scene of that movie. That happens. fights the last person, Brian Fury, which Brian Fury was an android, which I'm glad they at least made that part right. Because they literally did not... Yes, he was a cyborg.
They briefly mentioned it, and then acted like it didn't matter at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in which was funny, because Jin, during that fight, had another flashback of just, don't give up. If you're still breathing, you can still go for it.
Yeah.
And then he just like, I have the powers to beat up anything right now, and just start beating the crap out of a robot.
Yep.
Defeats and kills him, defeats Kazuya, goes back to Anvil, and in like the middle of the night-esque kind of scenario. It was always night.
Yeah,
by the way.
perpetually night.
Perpetually night in Anvil. He goes back, and the Mishima Zaibatsu, like, the jackhammer soldiers, like, are there lined up. He kind of goes through, and he kind of walks about and just, yeah, now there's a new hope and prayer for the city. And just, okay, great. And what did he win?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, can you do me a favor? Use that voice again and just say, balls of steel for me, would you?
Balls of steel. And
Duke Nukem lives. Sorry.
Better than the other Duke Nukem we got. So it was just like that. It was a kind of an empty promise. It was like a quest of vengeance that was met and conquered, and he's like, yep, now I'm like worshipped as a god practically.
Yep. Now I'm just the shit.
Now I'm the shit. I don't know what's gonna happen from here. No, I don't have a girlfriend from Anvil anymore. Where's Christy Montero?
I feel like it ended in a way where they were hoping to make a sequel, and thank God we never got one.
We got a sequel and we got a prequel, son.
Oh, we did? Oh, no. We have to watch more of these? Okay.
That means I get to come back, right?
Yeah. You're welcome anytime, Cool Cat.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, Cool Cat. Was it a bop or a flop, and why?
Okay. Was it a bop or was it a flop? At the beginning, had a song that I remembered that was kind of like, I was like, all right, okay, and then flopped. The fight scenes were very much not the best, but they were, other than one fight which was not memorable or forgetful at that point, because again, didn't know where Raven came from. That was that was all right.
We've seen worse.
I've seen worse. For 2010, I can't give it that much crap.
Yeah.
But it was all right. The overall story was oh boy, as someone who has played Tekken and knows the lore, that was a complete flop. But I understand, because there's so much you can put in a movie. So overall, I'm going to say it's a flop, but if you want a good time with a bunch of friends who know the lore, you can just riff track it. That's my take.
Okay. All right, how about you, Elmer? Bop or flop?
So before I provide this answer, I feel like I need to add this little addendum here.
Oh, boy.
There are two types of movies that I really, really, really like.
Mm-hmm.
I really like shitty late 1980s up until about the mid 1990s, low budget direct to video, fight tournament movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the one person on the planet that owns a I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head. Crap, Bloodsport. I own a Bloodsport t-shirt. Let's put it that way. Kickboxer to me is like it's up there next to frickin' Rocky in terms of like a fighting movie, so to speak, of like a competitive martial arts fighting movie, so to speak.
It did kind of have a Rocky type feel.
Like I said when we're watching this, I'm like, yeah, this feels like a movie. This feels like Rocky for the kids that used to eat crayons. It really does. But there's another type of movie that I really kind of like, and that is the type of movie that you would just be, back in the day when you'd have 10 channels on your TV, maybe 30 if you had cable. You're just flipping through there, and you just stumble upon some movie, and you're in the exact middle of it, and you have no idea what's going on. And the characters are literally just re-explaining what was happening earlier, but you don't really care because they're just getting the shit kicked out of them. There's a chick that literally has a V-neck for her ass crack hanging out the entire time, so you're sitting there going, oh, hey, this is a lot of fun. Which
Yeah.
I think that's why they put the actual flashbacks in there. They were banking that this was going to be like either an HBO or like a TNT on a Saturday hit.
Yeah,
just
direct to
throw that-
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
cable movie.
And so
Yeah.
I hate to say it, I kind of love this movie. Not loved it, but I had so much fun watching it because, the entire time we just kept going, this feels like it was made in 1997.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Don't
does.
make getting on it. Archangel actually said, "Dear God, the only way this could be any more 1990s is if, oh crap, I just forgot his name. John Stamos played the lead, played the lead in it. I'm like, you know what? 1998, they would have pulled that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bob for Elmer. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was a flop, but I did have a good time watching it. So, it kind of did one of those things where, if you're making a video game adaptation where you're adapting a fighting game, especially, who cares about the plot, right? Maybe they paid a little bit too much attention to that and not enough to the actual choreography and fighting. Like, all they have to do is make good fight scenes, and then the plot doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So in that respect, I think they messed up. But like Cool Cat said, to sit down and just kind of bullshit about it with some friends, it was a good time.
Yeah.
I would actually watch it again. Maybe not this year, but
I just realized, oh my God, we just got to take the fight scenes in this, and we just got to do whenever the actor kind of stops and they stare over, we just put their name on screen. We got to do, cut an intro to this where we use the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme.
one of the fighters did look like a Power Ranger.
Raven.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So flop for me, but I still had a good time. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you want to get into like the real lore of the Tekken, we could do that. That could be another episode. But like the video game lore, which if they had referenced stuff like that of like Kazuya's upbringing or what was that?
I think we lost Elmer for a second.
Oh, I didn't think he was that hype about what I was talking about. I'll keep going. While
Yeah,
we're
he's
fixing.
he's frozen. the best look on his face.
That's a great screenshot right there.
Oh yeah,
Oh
that's
my
awesome.
god. I'll keep it going while that's being fixed. So the video game lore is kind of explains Hayachi has a child. That child is Kazuya, and about the age of like I want to say 4 or 5, maybe between the ages of 4 and 7. I'm just gonna say he. I'm sorry. I see on screen the same the
guys hear me?
screen. We can hear you.
Ah, crap.
All right, I'm gonna put your frozen image back on the screen, or not. It's just black now. Okay, that's fine.
Oh damn. But between the ages of like 4 and 7, like Hayachi throws that child off a cliff and says, "Hey, you want to be powerful and better? You have to climb up this cliff." And he does so, and things happen from there. And like from the movie and from the video game's lore, like Steve Fox being like a sponsor to things, which like sounds really ridiculous. And then also saying, "Hey, Jin, here's your gauntlets, your signature gauntlets that you wear. I gave these to you."
Oh, whoops. Gosh. There we
Okay,
go.
sorry about that, guys.
We got him back.
No idea what the hell happened there.
All right, there we go.
You did say that screenshot, right?
Oh yeah, it'll be on.
It'll be on later.
It'll be on there. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What?
Oh,
You were
you're-
frozen at a really good frame.
yeah, you were frozen like.
Just like that.
yeah,
Just like that.
Which now, if anything, feels like it should be mentioned for people who listen to us only by audio. I have been in this entire episode filming it from my lovely library here, dressed like Ned Flanders for my Halloween costume. So
Yes.
As I was telling these guys earlier, just can you imagine the look of shock on the poor O'Reilly's service clerk's face when I came walking in going, hey, hi, Lee Ho, can I borrow your diagnostic computer so I can figure out the hell's wrong with my car? Guy just goes, costume party. I'm just like, yeah, screw it, costume party.
But
no, this is my Sunday's best. What do you think?
but yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely gonna have to watch the next one, maybe in another 6 to 8 months.
Yeah,
we'll start planning right away.
If you want, I have plenty of time. This could be like an annual thing. Tekken Halloween review.
Yeah.
Because what's more horrifying than looking at another? Than watching one Tekken movie, watching the others.
Yeah.
There was one movie that before when we were talking about it. There is Tekken the motion picture.
Oh, the animated one.
The animated one.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, wait, aren't there animes?
There is.
Really
There's
get deep in this shit.
Yeah, there is one that there was one that went to VHS on the release of Tekken Tag 2's collector's edition. There was a movie for that as well. I think that was Bloodlines. I could be wrong. And I feel like there's a third one that's also animated.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know like one of them, we were on a call and I was trying to find one of them that you were telling me about, and it was just like damn near impossible to find unless we wanted to spend $10 to buy like a DVD copy of it or something.
No. We found it on YouTube and it was expensive as hell to buy it on
Oh,
Amazon.
that's what it was.
That's what it was like. Yeah. You want to own Tekken the motion picture on VHS new for $85?
Yeah.
Or would you rather watch it on YouTube for
now.
free? Like
I was actually going to surprise both of you guys and have that show up in your stocking on Christmas, a VHS copy of Tekken, the motion picture. But as soon as you said $80 a pop, I'm like, okay, I'm going to kind of tab
Don't.
right there.
I mean, is it worth it? Yes, but also, I ain't got a VHS player.
I do, but I gave it to my parents, and it's a really nice one.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll have to go take that back one
Gosh,
day.
the idea of... Guys, just think about this real quick. You're in a scenario where you have a VHS tape in 2022 or 2023, depending on when we do the next episode.
Well,
and you have to find a VHS player. Where the hell do you go?
eBay. Well, and the thing is, VHS, like they will like degrade, like physically over time.
The tapes will.
The tapes will.
Yeah.
So we're.
But at the same time, they do have a longer shelf life than any DVD, though. That's the funny bit. They still say that most VHS tapes will last until about, well, I think they said somewhere around 2060. Let's put it this way. Some of the original DVD copies of The Matrix are already completely burnt out and unwatchable. So.
Jeez.
Oh, it's rough. But anyway, I suppose we could get the show on the road here. If you want to check out the Cool Cat, I'm sure everyone already knows who he is, but for the audio listeners, that's twitch.tv/TheCoolCat3020. He's always up to something good, and he is just cracked out on what he'll jump into a game like, oh, I haven't played this for 6 years, and then just wipe the floor with you. So
I'm not that good. Don't make people believe that I'm like tournament level player always. But it was funny though, because after the movie and before the podcast, we were like, man, what do we do for like an hour? Because we're waiting for the chicken wings to be baked, and he's like, oh, I've got Knockout City. We could like take turns playing that. I'm like, oh yeah, it's been at least a month or so since I played it, and just fucking like, you want to join a match currently in progress? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Down by a match and then like win it and have like 20 knockouts.
Yeah, it was nuts. It's really satisfying to watch him play. So check him out. Yeah. If you want to catch this on YouTube or see or find our other podcasts, video format and audio format, head over to gamelink.click. You'll find all our links and socials and everything there. Otherwise, it looks like we do have some people hanging around, so we'll jump to a Q&A and talk to some folks, but we're going to end the recording here at least, so we'll be back next week, hopefully, with something good for you. So until then...
Wait, me too?
Well, if you want to, you can.
Nah, it's okay. I've already got things out booked for like the next 11 months. You better be lucky that I'm going to do this next year for Tekken.
Yeah, we'll start planning the next Tekken, but... yeah, that's gamelink.click. I hope to see you around next time. So have a good week, everyone.
Yeah.
Stay safe this Halloween, guys. And last but not least, Hanley ho, neighborito.
That's right. Stay cool out there, guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right.